When people think of the bass voice, they often imagine sheer depth, the darkest to lowest notes rumbling like the earth itself. But in Verdi's operas, the bass becomes something more. They want not just darkness, but nobility, not just power, but legato. Verdi demanded both cantabile grace and trumpet fire. Today we'll explore the Verdian bass, how this voice type emerged and what characters it sings, why it is so challenging, and which singers have defined it on stage. In the classical and early romantic eras, bass roles often fell into two categories: the buffo bass, comic and agile, and the basso profondo, solemn but limited. Mozart gave us Leporello, Sarastro, Osmi. These roles have beauty and depth, but they don't yet show the Verdian model. Rossini and Donizetti wrote noble basses, but the orchestration was lighter, the dramatic weight less intense. The bass often stood to the side rather than at the center. Then Verdi arrived and he saw the bass as a figure of destiny. Kings, priests, men whose voices could shape the fate of nations. Verdi's bass must embody opposites. He must sing long lyrical lines with bel canto smoothness and then unleash declamation that shakes the theatre. This is not the unrefined growl of a basso profondo. It is a noble sound, flexible and grand. Verdi himself said that the bass must have the sonority of bronze. Critics often describe the best Verdian basses as instruments that could sing like a cello one moment and like a trumpet the next. Let's look at some of the towering Verdian bass roles. King Philip in Don Carlo, perhaps the most famous. His aria, Ella giammai m'amor, demands pure cantabile, a lonely man confessing his emptiness. But moments later, in the confrontation with the Grand Inquisitor, the voice must blaze like a trumpet, thundering with authority. The Grand Inquisitor, another bass role in the same opera, darker, more sinister, representing the crushing weight of the church. Together, Philip and the Inquisitor create one of opera's greatest bass duets. Banco in Macbeth, a role that needs both nobility and dread. His aria, Come dal ciel precipita, demands legato and gravity as Banco foresees his fate. Zaccaria in Nabucco. Here, Verdi gives the bass a full bel canto role, with caballettas and grand arias. Zaccaria is a prophet, both lyrical and declamatory. Jacopo Fiesco in Simon Boccanegra, another towering role. His aria, Il lacerato spirito, sits low with sorrowful legato, but he must also unleash fury in the council chamber scene. Ramphis in Aida, less central than Filippo Fiesco, but still requiring gravitas, dignity, and power. Spadafucile in Rigoletto, a smaller role, but one that shows the sinister dark side of the Verdian bass. Low notes, menace, a voice of doom. These roles show the range from lyrical introspection to blazing authority. The Verdi bass is almost always a man of power. Kings, priests, fathers, rulers, he is often older, carrying the weight of history. Sometimes he is noble but tragic, like Filippo or Fiesco. Sometimes terrifying, like the Grand Inquisitor. Sometimes wise and prophetic, like Zaccaria. These are not comic roles. They are roles of destiny, and the voice must sound like destiny itself. The Verdian bass faces unique challenges. First, tessitura. While the roles dip low, they often sit higher than the basso profondo repertoire. Philip's aria lies around C and D, the passaggio area requiring careful support. Secondly, the balance of lyricism and power. A true Verdian bass must sing legato with bel canto smoothness, not bark or bluster. But when the score demands thunder, he must blaze without losing beauty. Third, stamina. Verdi gives his basses long, demanding arias and duets, often with thick orchestration. The voice must endure. And finally, style. The Verdian bass must know when to restrain and when to unleash. Too much weight too soon and the voice tires. Too little authority and the role collapses. Let's take Philip in Don Carlo. In Ella Jemima Mo, he is at his most human. The lines are long, soft, lyrical. A bass must show vulnerability, not just strength. It is a scene of pure cantabile. But immediately after comes the confrontation with the Grand Inquisitor. Suddenly, lyricism is gone. Now it is trumpet fire, declamatory power, two basses locked in combat. This contrast is why Philip is considered one of Verdi's greatest roles. It demands the full range of what a Verdian bass can be. Who has carried this tradition? Fyodor Shaliapin in the early 20th century, known for his dramatic intensity and vocal color. Ezio Pinza with his noble sound and elegance, perfect for Philip and Fiesco. Boris Christoph, famed for his Philip, bringing dark timbre and commanding authority. Cesare Siepe, often described as the model Verdian bass. Beautiful legato, golden resonance, trumpet-like top. Nikolai Giaurov, one of the giants, with a voice of enormous depth and power, yet also capable of lyric nobility. Samuel Raimi, who sang not only Verdi but also bel canto and French repertoire, showing the range required. Ferruccio Furlanetto, today considered one of the greatest living Philips. I myself sang Don Carlo with this man at Royal Opera House. With his blend of line and authority, I will never, ever forget his performance. Incredible. Ildar Abdrazakov, a modern star, singing Philip, Banco and Fiesco with both beauty and fire. Critics often describe these singers with words like bronze, velvet or steel, images that capture both the beauty and the power. So the Verdian bass is not just about low notes, he is about balance, the cantabile grace of bel canto and the trumpet fire of declamation. He is king, priest, ruler, prophet. His voice shapes destinies, terrifies enemies, and moves us with sorrow. He must sing with elegance, then blaze with power. He must be both velvet and bronze, cello and trumpet. That is why the Verdian bass remains one of opera's most majestic and thrilling voices, a sound that embodies both human fragility and the